A recent child welfare case in Fort Bend County has many people asking a difficult question. If you suspected a child living near you was being abused or neglected, would you know what to do? The case involves a young child with a disability. As the court process continues, many questions remain, including whether there were earlier opportunities for someone to intervene. KPRC 2's Andy Cerota explains what child advocates say neighbors should know.
When most of us hear a story like this, our first question is, how could this happen? Court records obtained by KPRC2 show an 8-year-old girl with a disability called law enforcement asking for food after investigators say she'd been left home alone for days. Now, as 2 felony cases move their way through the courts, this case is also raising a question for the rest of us. If a child like this hadn't been able to call for help, would someone else have? It's a story that's hard to imagine. A child left home alone for days, surviving on birthday cake. And investigators say she may have gone longer without help if she hadn't made that call herself. In Texas, state records show more than 300,000 reports of child abuse or neglect are made each year. Child advocates say cases like this show why early reporting matters. Abuse and neglect don't always look obvious. Sometimes it's a child who is frequently hungry, has poor hygiene, goes without needed medical care, or is left without appropriate supervision. Other times it shows up in behavior changes that just don't feel right. Children with disabilities can face an even greater risk because they may have difficulty communicating what they're experiencing or rely heavily on adults for basic care.
If every viewer could remember one thing about this interview, if they believe a child may be neglected or abused, what would you want that to be?
You could save a life. A neglect, abuse going unnoticed, untended to could result in a child dying, and nobody wants that.
So trust your gut?
Trust your gut. And again, turn it over to the professionals. We're not asking you to do an investigation.
McCracken says many people hesitate to report because they're afraid of being wrong. But she says that's not the standard. You don't have to be certain, and it's not your job to prove abuse or neglect. Trained child abuse specialists will determine what happens next. We'll continue to follow the court proceedings and ask the accountability questions about what happened before this child called for help. But the bigger lesson, according to child advocates, is one everyone can act on today. If you notice a child who may be in danger, you just need reasonable suspicion to make the call. Andy Cerota, KPRC 2 News.